In 1971, a man filed a lawsuit against Satan. Not a church, not a cult, not somebody pretending to be Satan, the actual devil. And somehow, this case ended up in federal court. Now, you might think this was dismissed immediately, and you'd be wrong. Because before a judge could throw the case out, he actually had to figure out whether Satan could be sued. And that's where things get weird. The story begins with a prisoner named Gerald Mayo. Mayo wasn't happy with his circumstances and believed Satan was directly responsible for many of the problems in his life. So he did what any reasonable person would apparently do. He filed a federal lawsuit against Satan and his staff. I'm not kidding. His complaint alleged that Satan had deliberately placed obstacles in his path, caused him misery, and violated his constitutional rights. Now, the most bizarre lawsuits die before they ever reach a judge. This one didn't. A federal judge actually reviewed the filing. And that's when the court encountered a problem that law school never prepares you for. How exactly do you sue the Prince of Darkness? You see, in America, if you sue someone, you have to notify them. This is called service of process. The basic idea is simple. If someone is being sued, they should probably know about it. You can't just secretly drag someone into court. They have to receive the paperwork, which sounds easy, unless your defendant is literally Satan. The court immediately realized there was no address listed for the devil, no known residence, no office, no registered agent, no mailing address, nothing. The judge couldn't even determine whether Satan lived within the court's jurisdiction. And believe it or not, that mattered. Because courts can only exercise power over people they actually have authority over. The judge was suddenly faced with one of the strangest legal questions in American history. Can a federal court exercise jurisdiction over the ruler of hell? I would have loved to be in the room when that opinion was being written. Imagine going to law school for years, passing the bar, building a legal career, only to spend your Tuesday afternoon researching whether Satan can be served legal papers. But the strangest part is that the judge never dismissed the case because Satan isn't real. Read that again. The court did not say, Gerald, Satan doesn't exist. Instead, the court focused on procedural issues. Specifically, the court pointed out that the plaintiff had failed to provide instructions for serving the defendant. And without proper service, the lawsuit couldn't move forward. Case dismissed. Not because Satan won, and not because Satan lost, but because nobody could figure out where to mail the paperwork. Now here's where the story becomes even more interesting. Lawyers today still talk about this case, not because of theology or because of religion, because it accidentally teaches one of the most important lessons in civil procedure. The merits of your case don't matter if you can't get into court in the first place. You might have the greatest argument ever created, you might be completely right, but if you don't satisfy the procedural rules, you're done. Game over. And that's exactly what happened here. The lawsuit wasn't defeated by logic, it wasn't defeated by evidence, it was defeated by paperwork, which honestly feels very on brand for the legal system. The entire case has become one of those weird legal legends that professors bring up when students start complaining about procedure. You know, the question every first-year law student asks, when am I ever going to use this? Well, if you ever need to sue Satan, you'll be glad you paid attention. Funniest part of all this is imagining the alternative. Let's say the court allowed the lawsuit to proceed. Who would represent Satan? Would he appear remotely? Would hell have outside counsel? Could you depose demons? Would Lucifer invoke the fifth? At some point, every question only creates more questions, and that's probably why this case remains one of the strangest lawsuits ever filed in American history. A prisoner sued Satan. A federal judge reviewed it. The court seriously analyzed the procedural requirements, and the devil escaped liability because nobody knew where he lived. Sometimes, reality is weirder than fiction, and when it comes to the law, that's usually when the best stories happen.